There's been some developments involving the Richat Structure. This site keeps on getting more and more interesting, and the evidence continues to stack that it is by far the most likely location for Atlantis. Now, for those of you who don't think that, if nothing else, I'm here to tell you that the evidence has become more apparent than ever.
The Richat Structure, often referred to as the Eye of the Sahara, is one of the most captivating and mysterious geological formations on Earth. Situated in the heart of the Sahara Desert, this massive circular formation has intrigued scientists, explorers, and theorists for decades. Its discovery and subsequent studies have led to a wealth of theories and speculation, reflecting the profound mystery surrounding its origin. Was a massive structure once here that suddenly vanished? Could it have had a massive impact on planet Earth? Or could it be an ancient mining site used by perhaps aliens or another advanced civilization? Could humans have had a role in this mysterious formation? The Richat Structure first came to the attention of the scientific community in the 1930s, when French geologist Théodore Monod embarked on an expedition to explore the vast and largely uncharted Sahara Desert. Monod's expedition was primarily focused on geological mapping, but during his travels, he noticed a peculiar circular formation that stood out starkly against the otherwise monotonous landscape of the desert. This structure, visible from higher elevations, appeared as a large bullseye-like pattern in the sand, prompting initial curiosity, but not immediate investigation. It wasn't until the 1960s, during the era of space exploration, that the true scale and nature of the Richat Structure were fully appreciated. Astronauts aboard NASA's Gemini 4 mission captured high-resolution images of Earth, including the Sahara Desert, from space. From this vantage point, the structure was clearly visible as a colossal, circular formation stretching across a significant portion of the desert. These images ignited interest within the scientific community, leading to more focused research and exploration. Upon its discovery, the Richat Structure's origin was the subject of intense debate and speculation. Its nearly perfect circular shape led many to hypothesize that it was the result of a meteorite impact, as such craters often exhibit similar features. However, as scientists began to study the structure more closely, they realized that the truth was far more complex and mysterious. One of the most striking aspects of the Richat Structure is its size. The formation spans approximately 40 kilometers in diameter, making it visible from space and one of the most prominent geological features in the Sahara Desert. To put this into perspective, the structure is roughly equivalent in size to the city of Paris or the entire area of New York City. This immense size, coupled with its nearly perfect concentric rings, added to the mystery and allure of the structure, leading to numerous theories and speculations. Its size is so immense that it can only be fully appreciated from high altitude or space, where it appears as a giant bullseye in the vastness of the Sahara Desert. Detailed geological studies eventually debunked the meteorite impact theory. There was no evidence of the high-pressure minerals, such as shocked quartz, that are typically associated with impact events. Instead, researchers determined that the Richat Structure was a deeply eroded geologic dome composed of different layers of sedimentary rock that had been exposed over millions of years. The concentric rings were found to be the result of differential erosion, where harder rock layers resisted erosion more effectively than softer layers, creating the distinct bullseye pattern visible today. The Richat Structure's unique geology offers several fascinating insights into Earth's distant past. The structure is composed of Proterozoic sedimentary rock, which is estimated to be over 2.5 billion years old, making it one of the oldest geological formations on the planet. The central part of the structure is composed of Ordovician rocks, which are about 480 million years old. This wide range of geological ages provides a window into the Earth's early history, offering valuable clues about the geological processes that shaped the Sahara region. One of the most visually striking aspects of the Richat Structure is its resemblance to a human eye when viewed from space, a feature that has earned it the nickname Eye of the Sahara. The formation's circular shape, combined with its concentric rings, gives the impression of an eye gazing out from the desert, a phenomenon that has captured the imagination of many and contributed to its mystical aura. While the idea that the Richat Structure was created by a meteorite impact has been discredited, the exact process behind its formation remains a subject of scientific debate. The most widely accepted theory suggests that the structure is the result of a volcanic eruption that never fully breached the Earth's surface. According to this theory, magma from deep within the Earth began to push upwards, creating a domed uplift in the overlying sedimentary rock layers. However, instead of forming a volcano, the magma cooled and solidified below the surface, leading to the gradual collapse of the dome. Over millions of years, erosion exposed the concentric rings that are visible today. Another theory posits that the Richat structure could have been formed by hydrothermal activity. This process involves the circulation of hot water through rock layers, causing chemical alterations that can lead to the formation of circular patterns. Although less widely accepted than the volcanic theory, it remains a possibility that some scientists continue to explore. The formation of the Richat structure is also believed to be connected to the tectonic activity that shaped the Sahara region. The Sahara Desert, though largely flat today, was once a much more dynamic landscape, influenced by the movement of tectonic plates. The structure may represent the remnants of a much larger geological process that occurred when the African continent was still undergoing significant tectonic upheaval. The immense size and complexity of the Richat structure make the idea of human construction seem highly improbable. Spanning a diameter of 40 kilometers, with rings that are perfectly concentric and several kilometers wide, the structure would have required an immense amount of labor, advanced engineering knowledge, and a purpose that remains difficult to conceive. Additionally, there is no evidence of human activity or artifacts that would suggest the structure was man-made. However, some fringe theories have suggested that the Richat structure could have been an ancient construction, possibly by a lost civilization. These theories are often linked to the legend of Atlantis, the mythical city described by Plato. Proponents of this theory argue that the structure's size, shape, and location correspond to descriptions of Atlantis, leading them to speculate that it could be the remains of this legendary city. This theory has gained traction in recent years, fueled by the structure's circular shape, size, and location in the Sahara Desert. The theory suggests that the Richat structure could be the remains of Atlantis, as described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Plato's dialogues describe Atlantis as a powerful and advanced civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his time. He depicted it as a large island, divided into concentric rings of land and water, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is commonly associated with the Strait of Gibraltar. Proponents of the Atlantis theory argue that the Richat structure's concentric rings closely match Plato's description, and its location in the Sahara Desert could correspond to the island's destruction and subsequent desertification. Establishing the age of the Richat structure has been a complex task due to the varied composition of its geological layers. However, scientists have been able to estimate its age based on the ages of the rocks that make up its various layers. The central part of the structure is composed of Ordovician rocks, approximately 500 million years old, while the outer layers are made up of even older Proterozoic rocks, dating back more than 2.5 billion years. The age of the structure has been roughly determined through radiometric dating, a technique that measures the decay of radioactive isotopes in rocks to determine their age. By analyzing the different layers of rock within the structure, scientists have pieced together a timeline of its formation, revealing that the structure is one of the oldest geological formations on Earth. The Richat structure's resemblance to a human eye when viewed from space has led to various symbolic interpretations. Some theorists propose that the structure was designed by an ancient civilization to serve as a signal or marker, visible from great distances, possibly even to extraterrestrial beings. This idea taps into the broader theme of ancient astronaut theories, which suggest that advanced civilizations or extraterrestrial visitors played a role in shaping Earth's history. The region surrounding the structure is not devoid of interest, both geologically and archaeologically. The Sahara Desert, though largely inhospitable today, was once a lush and fertile region, home to ancient human civilizations and a diverse array of flora and fauna. Evidence of ancient river systems, now long dried up, has been found throughout the Sahara, indicating that it was once a much more habitable environment. While the most widely accepted theory is that the Richat structure is a natural geological formation, the lack of definitive evidence for its origin has led to various alternative theories. Some suggest that the structure could be the remnants of a massive ancient caldera, the result of a supervolcano that once existed in the region. This theory posits that the structure was formed by a massive volcanic eruption that collapsed the magma chamber, creating the concentric rings seen today. However, this theory is not widely supported, as there is no evidence of volcanic rock or ash in the area. Another theory proposes that the Richat structure could have been a site of ancient mining activity. The circular shape and concentric rings could have resulted from systematic mining operations, where different layers of rock were removed over time. However, there is no archaeological evidence to support this theory, and it is unlikely that ancient peoples would have had the technology or resources to undertake such a massive project. While these ideas are largely speculative, they highlight the enduring fascination with the Richat structure and its potential significance in human history.
If you mention the word Atlantis to any archaeologist, they will tend to roll their eyes.
The fittingly named Eye of the Sahara is by far the most likely location for the lost capital city of Atlantis.
When you look at all of the areas around the planet that have been proposed for Atlantis, I think there's one place that fits the majority of his details, and that's the sunken Azores Plateau.
The Richat structure, often referred to as the Eye of the Sahara, is a remarkable and unique geological formation with some fascinating features. Spanning about 40 kilometers in diameter, it's so large that it can be easily spotted from space. The structure isn't a perfect circle, but rather takes on a slightly elliptical dome shape, adding to its mystique. One of the most striking aspects of the Richat structure is its series of concentric rings. These rings are quite intriguing because they're not all the same. They vary in terms of their width, what they're made of, and how they've eroded over time. This creates a complex, layered look that's quite captivating.
The rim rock of this is late Cretaceous, about 90 million years old. So at that point, it was below the ocean, right? So it's been uplifted. I think this thing is about 1,400 or 1,500 feet above sea level. So it's been eroded. You see, this whole thing here is like an erosion.
The way these rings have formed is a tale of erosion at work. Over millions of years, forces of nature like wind and water have eroded the dome, unveiling these distinct rings. Each layer of the structure erodes differently, depending on how tough or soft it is, which is why we see this range of rings. Now let's talk about what the Richat structure is made of, because it's quite a mix. The outer rings are primarily made of something called Proterozoic quartzite. This is a very hard rock that's resistant to weathering, and it's incredibly old. We're talking over 600 million years. Quartzite forms from sandstone that's been put under a lot of heat and pressure, so it's been through a lot. As we move towards the inner rings, the story changes. Here we find softer sedimentary rocks like limestone and sandstone. Limestone, primarily composed of calcium carbonate, typically forms in old marine environments. Sandstone, on the other hand, is made up of sand-like mineral particles. Right at the center, the Richat structure has something called siliceous breccia, which is basically a bunch of angular rock fragments stuck together. Breccia usually forms in areas with lots of volcanic activity, or where the Earth's crust has been moving and shaking. All these different rock types in one place make the Richat structure quite special. Not only is it a visually stunning landmark, but it's also a valuable spot for geologists to study.
So the connection to ancient Egypt that Solon draws and Plato passes on is actually very real. It's very solid. And I'm pleased to say that there has now been a full translation of the Edfu text.
When it comes to how the Richat structure was formed, there are a couple of theories floating around. The most widely accepted one is what geologists call the uplifted dome theory. In simple terms, this theory suggests that natural forces beneath the Earth's surface pushed up layers of rock, creating a sort of bulge on the surface. Over time, this dome was worn down by erosion, which is basically the wind and water gradually wearing away the rock. This erosion didn't happen uniformly. The softer rocks wore down faster than the harder ones, leading to the formation of those distinctive concentric rings we see today. Now, there's another, more speculative theory proposed by Jimmy Corsetti. He's got this interesting idea that the near-perfect circular shape and unique layering of the Richat structure might not be all natural. He thinks that ancient human activities might have played a part in shaping it.
The circular ring city was also said to have an opening to the sea at the south, which not only matches the southerly opening of the Richat anomaly, but it even has existing evidence of a flow of salt water that is still visible to this day.
The environment of the Sahara Desert has also played a significant role in the process of the Richat Structure formation. The dry, arid conditions mean that wind erosion is particularly influential in shaping the structure. And let's not forget that the Sahara hasn't always been a desert. It has gone through various climatic changes over millions of years, and these changes have influenced the rate and nature of erosion in the region. Some of the rocks there are incredibly old, dating back to over 600 million years ago. This period covers a huge chunk of our planet's past, from about 2.5 billion to 541 million years ago. It's a crucial era for understanding how continents formed and how early life evolved. Now, imagine the amount of time it took to form the Richat structure. It's been shaped over millions and millions of years. A lot of factors played a role in shaping the Richat structure. Movements in the Earth's crust, like the shifting of tectonic plates, have been a big part of it. Then there's the impact of climate changes over the ages, especially in the Sahara region. All these changes influenced the patterns of erosion that gave the structure its current look. And speaking of erosion, it's been the main force sculpting and exposing the different layers of rock in the Richat structure. One of the coolest things about the Richat structure is its distinct circular pattern. As said before, it's so noticeable that astronauts use it as a landmark when they're up in space. This pattern really stands out against the surrounding desert landscape.
If you take the concept of Atlantis seriously, you're regarded by archaeologists and their friends in the media as a kind of lunatic. And I've always found this odd because the source, the earliest surviving source for the tradition of Atlantis, is the highly respected figure of Plato.
Plato's description of Atlantis, found in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, really captures the imagination, doesn't it? Written around 360 BC, these works come from a time when Athens was at the height of its philosophical and cultural influence. Plato was a thinker who loved to dive deep into ideas about society, morality, and reality, and he used these dialogues as a way to explore these themes. It's kind of like he was having a conversation through his characters, which let him present different ideas and arguments. Now, about Atlantis itself, it's described as this massive island city located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which most people think is the Strait of Gibraltar. Plato went all out in describing it as bigger than Libya and Asia combined, which really paints a picture of its mythical size. The city layout is fascinating, with these concentric circles of land and water. Imagine the engineering it would have taken to build something like that in ancient times, complete with canals and bridges connecting everything. The heart of the island, its central plain, was said to be super fertile, perfect for farming, and it was surrounded by high mountains rich in resources and natural protection. And Atlantis wasn't just about impressive landscapes, it was also a hub of resources and technology. Plato talks about it having all sorts of metals, including this mysterious orichalcum as well as gold and silver. The infrastructure was top-notch, with water systems, temples, palaces, and docks. But Atlantis wasn't just about buildings and resources. Plato describes it as having a complex society with its own laws, customs, and political organization. It even had a powerful military. Yet in his story, Atlantis starts as this ideal place and then becomes corrupt and ultimately falls.
Plato includes precise scientific information in the story. And this is what archaeology is ignoring when it says that it's all a fantastical made-up tale. And it's to do with that meltwater pulse 1b that I mentioned, that brought the Younger Dryas to an end 11,600 years ago and raised sea levels massively.
Now let's talk about the theory connecting the Richat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, to the legendary city of Atlantis, as described by Plato. It's quite a fascinating topic, especially the ideas presented by Jimmy Corsetti. Here's where it gets interesting. Corsetti and some others have pointed out that these rings bear a striking resemblance to Plato's Atlantis, which in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias was described as having similar concentric circles of land and water. Now, while geologists understand these rings in the Richat structure as a result of natural erosion processes, the similarity to the mythical Atlantis has sparked quite a bit of interest and speculation. When you compare the size of the Richat structure to what Plato described for Atlantis, there seem to be some parallels, although there are notable differences in the exact measurements. Corsetti's theory even suggests that changes like erosion over time could have altered the Richat structure's appearance, possibly bringing it closer to what Plato described. But here's a major twist in the tale. The Richat structure is smack in the middle of the Sahara Desert, while Plato's Atlantis was described as an island in the Atlantic Ocean. This stark difference in geographical context has led to some interesting speculation. Some theorists propose that the landscape around the Richat structure might have been very different in the past, possibly closer to water or even more hospitable than the Sahara we know today.
And he's shown writings on the walls by the priests. And he says, what do these writings say? And the priests then unravel the whole story of Atlantis, and they tell how there was this great advanced civilization, which at one time was extremely beneficial and positive to the world, but which fell out of harmony with the universe.
The Eye of the Sahara is quite an archaeological goldmine. In this particular region, a variety of artifacts have been found, shedding light on the lives of people who lived there thousands of years ago. We're talking about stone tools like arrowheads, scrapers, and axes that were probably used for hunting and crafting. These tools tell us a lot about the daily activities and skills of these ancient folks. Then there's the pottery. Finding fragments of pottery in the area is like getting a glimpse into their domestic life. It shows that they had developed pottery-making skills, which is a big deal in understanding the cultural and technological progress of any civilization. And you know what's even more intriguing? There are hints of more permanent forms of settlement. Although it's not definitive, the remnants of structures could mean that these were not just nomadic people passing through, but a community that settled down. But here's where it gets really interesting: the rock paintings and engravings. These are found on cliff faces and in caves right around the Richat structure. The artwork is not just beautiful, it's like a storybook of ancient life. There are paintings of animals like antelopes, elephants, and giraffes, suggesting a time when the Sahara was teeming with wildlife. Then there are human figures depicted in various activities, giving us a sneak peek into their social and cultural practices. And the symbols and abstract designs might even point to their spiritual beliefs. Dating these rock arts can be tricky, but many are believed to be from the Neolithic period. This suggests that the region had a thriving community during that era. It's not just about finding old stuff, it's about piecing together the story of human habitation and development in the area. The presence of these artifacts and artworks indicates that there was a stable human population at some point. The possibility of permanent settlements, while not confirmed, is certainly tantalizing and calls for more extensive archaeological research. These findings are like puzzle pieces that help us understand the prehistoric Sahara, which was once a greener, more hospitable place than it is today. They tell a story of human adaptation and migration, of how people responded to the climatic changes that turned the Sahara into the desert we know now. It's not just about the history of a particular region, it's about adding to the rich tapestry of African prehistory and understanding the diversity and complexity of early human societies on the continent. Isn't it amazing how much we can learn about our past from the things left behind in the sands of time?